It's time for us to turn our attention to another aspect of RIP version 2, and that's going to be the fact that RIP also supports the idea of IPv6 routing. Now what we're going to do is we're going to entertain how it supports it, but what I want to first outline is what we discussed with regard to the nature of the protocol and what protocol it is I'm making reference to. Up to this point, we've talked about RIP version 2 for support regarding IPv4 addressing. Now it's time for us to start talking about IP version 6, and in the confines of RIP, we use a new process referred to as RIPng, RIP Next Generation. Now, RIP Next Generation supports the idea of running IPv6 addressing. Now, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and enable IPv6 addressing in our infrastructure on a link-by-link basis. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use RIP Next Generation in order to be able to advertise the prefixes that we're going to be having assigned to our interfaces. So let's take a look at exactly what that's going to look like on the command line. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to use link local addresses that are going to be FE80::, and then the number of the router, and we will use those as /64s. Every other prefix is going to be 2001::, and then it's going to be the router connection. So it's going to be device X and device Y, : and then the router number, X. So when we look at this, let's go in and do the configurations first on R22. So let's get in here and see what's involved in this process. First of all, we need to enable IPv6 routing. So IPv6 unicast routing turns the process on our router. Now we have three interfaces that I want to contend with. Interface LO0, and I'm going to go ahead and assign my link local address. It's going to be IPv6 address FE80::22 /6022/64. Now notice it tells me it requires the link local keyword. Now the link local keyword is significant here because remember I can have the same link local IP address for v6 on every interface on a given device. Let's do that. And what I'll do is I'll enable this on both my serial interfaces and on my loopback for the link local config. So all I need to do is just come up here and say link local. Hold on, what am I doing here? IP link local. I apologize. So let's take a look at this now. Do show interface or show IPv6 interface brief. Now notice I have my configuration here, and let's scroll down until we get to loopback 0, and notice it's giving me the FE80::22. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to configure the same IP address on all of my interfaces. Interface S2/0, just up arrow to it. Interface S2/1, up arrow to it. Now what I want to do is I want to configure globally reachable addresses. So I'm going to use that sequence that I said of 2001::, the segment, and then the router ID. This is what that form is going to take. So let's go to interface LO0, and what I'm going to say is IPv6 address 2001::. This is going to be, let's see, how do I want to designate these? Let's do this. Let's say 22:22::2. Actually, no, 22. And we'll say /64. So we've given that address. Now let's go to interface S2/0. And in this sequence, this is going to be 222::22/64. Interface S2/1 IPv6 address 2001 : colon 223 : 2264. Now, as we look at this again, all this is this going to be R22 connected to R2, R22 connected to R3. That's the sequencing that I'm using, and the last range here is going to be the router number itself. So now when I look at this, do show IPv6 interface brief, I'm going to see that I have my addresses assigned, both my link local and my globally reachable IPv6 addresses. So let's go over to R2 and do a matching configuration on that device itself. So now, first of all, exit IPv6 unicast-routing. Interface loopback 0. IPv6 address, and I said I would use FE80:2/64. Actually, I'll just say link local. Excuse me. Interface serial 20 IPv6. Actually, I'll just up arrow. So now let's see if I have reachability. So the question is from R2, can I ping the link local address of R22 on this segment? So I'm going to say ping, and the address that I want to ping is going to be FE80:22. Now what we're going to find here is it's going to specify an output interface. Now the output interface that it's going to ask me, or I need to use, is I'm going to say I'm going to use serial 2/0. And now we see I have a successful IPv6 ICMP echo and echo reply coming back. So I have reachability across this segment. Now what I want to do is I want to perpetuate this on both R2 and R3, and then what we'll do is we'll just move everything down all the way to where we're encompassing these devices here. So when I'm done, I'm going to have IPv6 addressing on these links here. And then what we'll do is we'll continue it down the line. But the main thing I want to illustrate right now is the basics with regard to setting up our configuration. Now, it's not a requirement for me to specify the link local address. It's automatically going to get one the moment I assign a globally reachable IPv6 address. Now, I want to avoid this process because I want to know what addresses I'm going to use, because when we do our show commands, I want to be able to look at it and say, oh, that's this particular link local address. The other method will end up being through the utilization of varying the MAC address and creating an EUI64 specification like we discussed in the basics of IPv6. So I'll just simply want to avoid that process. So right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into R2, and I want to, let me erase that. I want to make certain that R2 is going to run IPv6 with SW1. So that means I need to enable this on another interface. Show CDP neighbors. So let's discover what interface I need to use to reach Cat1. I need to use Ethernet 03. So config T, internet interface E03, IPv6 address, and I'm going to use FE80:2 link local, and IPv6 address FE80:, and this will be, sorry, not FE80, 2001: this will be 214 or 210:2/64. All right, now let's cut over to R3 and do the marrying configuration there. So on R3, config T, IPv6 unicast routing, interface LO0, IPv6 address. I said we would use FE80:3 link local, IPv6 address 2001: 3. How do we want to do this? How did I do it on R2? Do show run interface LO0. I didn't assign one here either. So how did I do it on 22? Should it be number: number? Let's verify. Do show run interface LO0. Yeah, that's what it did. So on 2, IPv6 address 2001 :2 :2 :2 /64. Do the same thing on R3. So it'll be IPv6 address 2001 3 :3 :3 /64. And now what I want to do is do show CDP neighbors, find out what interface I'm using to connect to Cat2. That's it here. Do show run interface E03. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to specify 2003 in this address. So here what I'm going to do is I'm going to say IPv6 address, and I'm going to say FE80 : 3 link local IPv6 address 2001 :3 :3. Oh no, this is going to be Fast Ethernet 03. So this will be 203 : 3 /64. All right. So now let's look at this. Do show IP interface brief, but I need to specify IPv6. There's the loopback. Let's do this. Pipe include or exclude down / down. So let's see here. I've got it on do show IPv6 interface brief. And let's see what we got going on here. So there's the serials, there's my loopback, and there's what I messed up on. So I didn't assign the addresses properly here, made a mistake. So what I need to do is I need to go back to loopback 0. So let's say config interface loopback 0, actually config, man oh man, interface loopback 0. I apologize, guys. So now what I want to do is I do show run interface LO0. And I want to remove this address right here. It doesn't belong there. Interface E03, do show run interface E03. And now I need to put both of those addresses in there. So IPv6 address FE80 : 3 link local IPv6 address 2001 : 203 : 3 /64. Do show IPv6 interface brief, and let's see what we have here. Let me scroll up and check my configs. Now I've got my configuration on FE803 on E03. So now what we need to do is cut over to Cat1 and do the configuration here. So exit IPv6 unicast routing. Now that IPv6 unicast routing is enabled, interface loopback 0, IPv6 address FE80 : 11, actually :11 link local. IPv6 address 2001 : 11 11 /64. I'm kind of actually glad that we used this. Now notice what ends up happening here. It tells me error 2001 : 11 11 is in use. Well, let's look at that. So do show run interface loopback 0. And let's see what we got going on here. Well, first of all, I want to get rid of this address. So let's say no, and take that out, because I did a fat finger. IPv6 address 2001 : 11 11 /64. Now it's going to apply the address for me. So, but notice what I've done is I've used there's the loopback. So what I need to do now is do the other configuration. So what I want to do is I want to make certain I do the configuration on the interfaces that are facing R2 and R1. So do show CDP neighbors. So I need to do it on 0, 0 going towards R2. So interface E00, IPv6 address, FE80, : 11, link local. Show, run, interface, LO0. Do show, run, interface, LO0. Well, we're applying addresses here. So let's go back to the interface. Interface E00. And it's not allowing me to enter the configuration. Did I forget the IPv6 unicast routing? Interface E00. See if we can put it in now. Well, it's still not taking the command. So let's do this. IPv6 enable. Well, what we're going to find here is IPv6 is not even a configuration option at this juncture. So let's see what's going on here. We've got unicast routing, IPv6, unicast routing. I enabled it, and it took the command on the loopback interface, but it doesn't seem to be allowing me to apply the configuration to my fast Ethernet or to my Ethernet connections. Show, run, interface, E00. Now look at what's happening here. Notice this is a switch port. So where do I need to do the configuration? Because this is going to be in an access mode. So do show interface E00 switch port. Notice my mode. My operational mode here is going to be static access. So I can't configure IPv6 on this particular interface. I need to go to the SVI associated with this interface. So that's what we're going to do right now. In fact, when I look at the output of the show command, do show run interface E00, it's VLAN 210. So I'm going to say interface VLAN 210. Let's see if it exists first. Do show IP interface brief, exclude assigned addresses, and I do have 210. Here's where I need to do my configuration. So let's move into interface VLAN 210. IPv6 address FE80 : 11 link local. IPv6 address 2001 : and let's see, this is going to be 210 : 11/64. Now let's test this. Ping 2001 : 210 : 2, and see if we have reachability. And we do. So I was just able to verify that I can reach R2 via Cat1 using this SVI interface. So let's go ahead and do the rest of the configurations here. So my next VLAN, show CDP neighbors, is going to be going to R1. So it's going to be Ethernet 01. Let's find out what VLAN, show run interface Ethernet 01 is in. It's in 101. So let's do our configuration here. So it's going to be interface VLAN 101, do show IP interface brief, exclude assigned addresses will give me a list of every SVI. There's 101. So let's go ahead and do the configuration here. IPv6 address FE80::11 link local. IPv6 address 2001 : and the number we're going to use here is 1000 is going to be 101::11/64. Now that's going to be the interface going towards R1. Do show IPv6 interface brief is going to give me the results of my configurations, and I see now I'm running it on VLAN 101, I'm running IPv6 on VLAN 210, and I'm also running it on my loopback. So let's go to R1 and see if we can't close this side of the loop. First and foremost, excuse me, I dropped my stylus. First and foremost, IPv6 unicast routing. Do show CDP neighbors. So let's find the interface that's facing Cat1, and we see that that interface is going to be 00, 0. So we're going to be configuring loopback 0 and Ethernet 00 right now, just to make certain that we close this side of the loop, and then we'll work our way back up to R3 through Cat2. So interface loopback 0, IPv6 address FE80::1 link local, IPv6 address 2001:1:1:1, and we will say /64. All right, now that address is there. So interface E00. Again, I'm going to add the link local address, and I'm going to add the link that's going to be connected between these different devices. So let's verify what that is. Do show run interface at E00. So right now it's going to be 101. So that's what we'll do. We will say IPv6 address 2001:1:1:1/64. All right, now what we want to do is test this. Ping 2001:101:, and what I want to ping is 11. And see if I have reachability, and I do. So I just verified that I can reach the interface on Cat1 from R1. So let's do the marrying config now and just race this loop all the way up. So now config T interface E01. Again, I'm going to use the same link local address. However, in this instance, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use another address. So let's verify what that address is. Let's make sure that it matches my IPv4 configs. Do show run interface E01. So it's going to be 201. So in this instance, it would be IPv6 address 2001::1/64. Do show IPv6 interface brief. Take a look and see what we have on FO1 and FOO. Yes, we have the right addresses. So let's cut up to R2, do the same configuration here. Do show run interface LO0. I only have my leak local address configured here. So interface LO0, IPv6 address 2001:2:2:2/64. Now notice it says I've got an error here. It's in use on Ethernet FA03. Do show run interface LO0. Well, the issue here is that I'm currently on R2 instead of R3. Now, the reason I'm doing this is notice here I configured a link local address, but I did not configure a address that I can use for reachability. So globally reachable. So let's take a look and see what we got here. Do show run interface E03. See what I've got. Notice right here, I have two addresses. Now this is something that's non-characteristic for IPv4. If I configure an IPv4 address on an interface and then I reconfigure an IPv4 address on an interface, it's going to erase the previous. That's not going to be the way IPv6 behaves in any deployment. It's going to allow me to have multiple IPv6 addresses assigned to the same interface. Now what we want to do is we want to avoid this. So I did this to illustrate this problem, and the way we're going to have to fix this is we're going to remove the interface and we're going to apply it. We're going to remove the IP address from the interface and we're going to apply it to where we want it. So what I'll do is I'll just simply say interface fast Ethernet 03, and then I'm going to say I don't want this address right here, so I'll say no and take it out. Then I'll go to interface LO0 and I will apply it. Do show run interface LO0. Now I'll have a link local address and a globally reachable address, and also do show run interface E02, E03. I will have a link local and I will have a globally reachable address on R2. So let's cut over to the right device, R3. So on R3, do show run interface LO0. We have a link local address and we have an IPv6 address. Do show run interface S21. Here I don't have any configuration. So let's do the configuration on S21. Interface S2/1 IPv6 address FE80::3 link local. Interface or IPv6 address, and here I'm going to say 2001:3:3. Actually no, this is the link between these devices, and this is going to be 223::3. So it's going to be the link between R3 and R22, and it's going to be /64. All right, now let's see if I have reachability. Ping, do ping 2001:223::22, and I do. Now let's take a look at what else we have going on here, because I need to connect to Cat2. Do show CDP neighbors. Sorry about that, didn't mean to yell at you. And I need to modify Cat Ethernet 03. So do show run interface E03. Well, I've already got my configuration here. So let's see what happens. Can I ping 2001:203::12? And I can't. And the reason I can't is I haven't configured the interfaces on Cat2. So let's take a look at what we got here. Cat2, do show IP interface brief. Let's take a look at my loopbacks. Say E assigned. So here we have our loopback. Do I have an interface here on my loop? Do show run interface LO0. And all I'm doing is just verifying my configuration. All right, this is the first time we're going to be running this up with our IPv6 addresses, so I just want to make sure that everything's configured, and I want to also make certain that I don't have any artifact configuration from any previous demonstrations. So let's get our Cat2 configured, and then we'll bring everything up and we'll start running an actual protocol. So right now, I need to go to interface LO0. Well, actually, first thing I need to do is say IPv6 unicast routing, interface LO0. And then what I need to come in here and do is say IPv6 address FE80::12 link local. IPv6 address 2001:12:12:12/64. Now what we want to do is we want to configure the two interfaces that we have facing R3 and R1. Do show CDP neighbors. Well, let's do R1 first. Well, R1's Ethernet 01. So let's see here. Do show run interface E01. Well, it's going to be in VLAN 201. So let's take a look at interface VLAN 201. Do show run interface VLAN 201. And I don't have any IPv6 configuration here. So what I'll do is IPv6 address FE80::12 link local. IPv6 address 2001 colon 201 colon 12/64. All right, that should give me my connection towards R2. Do ping 2001 201 1, and I have reachability. So now the last one I want to configure is do show CDP neighbors. The link that I have that's connecting me to R3, fast Ethernet 00. Do show run interface E00. I can see I'm in VLAN 320, so I'm going to do show IP interface brief E assigned, and I'm going to see that I have 320. So let's take a look at that. Interface VLAN 320, do show run interface VLAN 320. Nothing configured there. So IPv6 address FE80 colon 12 link local. IPv6 address 2001 colon 12. No, actually it's going to be colon 320 colon 12/64. So now we should have do show IPv6 interface brief, and we should see easy enough that we have the proper configurations applied here. Notice I have 320, I have 201, and I have my loopbacks. So if I look at this 12 colon 12, 201 colon 12, 320 colon 12, let's do a quick verification. So what I want to do is I'm going to say ping 2001 201 colon 1, which should be the connection to R1. And again, I have connectivity. Let's verify up to R3. This is going to be 320 colon 3. And let's see if I have reachability. Well, so far it doesn't look like I have reachability on this connection. So let's verify our configs. The simplest way to do this is going to be to take a look at the VLAN. So do show run interface VLAN 320. Well, let's see here. I've got 2001 320 12. Let's cut up to R3 and see what we've got going on here. Do show CDP neighbors. Going down to Cat2, it's going to be fast Ethernet 03. Do show run interface E03. And we can see I have the wrong IP address. It should be 320. So what I'll do is interface E03, take out this IP address. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reapply at IPv6 address 2001 320 colon 364. Exit. Let's cut back down to Cat2 and redo that verification. And now we have reachability. So what we see in this environment is we have link by link connectivity between all of our devices. And now that means that I have two paths going to R1 that I can utilize for the purposes of exchanging information using RIP Next Generation. Now what we want to do now is let's go ahead and define how RIP is going to operate in this environment. So right now what I want to do is I want to run RIPng. Let me go ahead. I'm going to edit. I'm going to erase that. And I'm going to write it out a little clearer. I want to use RIP Next Generation. And what I'm going to say here is that I'm going to assign it a process name. The process name I'm going to be using is going to be RIPng in all caps. So that's going to be the process ID that I'm going to assign. Now what I want to do is I want to advertise every loopback and every interface that is running IPv6. So how do I get that implementation to take effect on this particular device? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and wrap the video right here because I'm trying to keep these in very small chunks. So what we'll do is that when this is, now that we've verified that we have IPv6 reachability, we have IPv6 configured on our loopbacks, in the next portion of our presentation, I'll go ahead and go in and finish the configuration where we're going to be enabling RIPng on all of these components, and then we're going to take a look at basic RIPng operations. I'll see you guys in that video. Bye-bye.